in this fight. He's pushing up to the natural expansion. That Siren X core is going to be an easy target right here for Shin. Immediately focus firing it down, but now actually Stats coming in for the bottom side, can no longer warp in Stalkers. I don't think there's charge. It's only Blink right now, so he has to rebuild that Siren X core really quickly.
He's got a well-placed Immortal up here. If he can keep microing this back, he could do some decent damage.
Storm is done.
Okay, Storm is done, and the Zerg is basically pushed deep into the natural expansion. Now, the problem is if Zerg doesn't make this work, Zerg also can't get out. But we're seeing the supplies drop right now pretty heavily here for Protoss.
Yeah, heavily. Yeah, Shin is already 3 times the army supply of Stats right now. His Stats can't warp in those high-value units, the Stalkers that he really wants to. I mean, the Storms were good, but the reinforcements coming in here from Shin, especially with the natural expansion, taking so much damage, 12 probes in total going down already. I feel like this attack might have just barely broken him. I mean, this might not be the end of the game right here, but for Shin, if he macros up a good counterattack, or a follow-up attack to this, I should say, it'll be really hard for Stats to hold right now. I mean, 15 probes in total going down. Shin is already starting to eye these other bases. If Stats can hold on defensively for a couple more minutes, I think he's in a good spot, but 84 army supply to 36 is really scary right now for Stats.
Now, Stats is not dead, but he's also maybe not going to be alive for a whole lot longer. You can easily refill these supply openings here with more Lings and Roaches and Ravagers.
Oh, that's a lot of Templars.
It's a lot of Templars, yes, and maybe with good Storms he can make it work, but Shin is also just hitting a lot of different locations, and this can really pull the Protoss apart. Stalkers are fast, but they do struggle to protect multiple places at once. You know, Blink only goes so far before the cooldown has to kick back in. A dive comes in. The Templars haven't cast Storm yet.
No, Templars instead working their way back to the third base as the fourth continues to get attacked here. Finally, the Stasis Trap triggers, and the Storms coming down here on the top are going to push Shin back for now. Stats is trying his best to stabilize 118 army supply to 48, so really up against the ropes here is Stats.
And, you know, we talked a lot about Stats and the fact that he's good at macroing and developing. I feel like Shin is maybe the best mid-game Zerg we've got in GSL.
Absolutely.
You know, he's able to get in there and kind of go for the knees. Take out the player before they can really get to where they need to be. And we're going to try to see him attempt that again here. He's got a smaller decoy attack up above the screenshot, but the bigger attack here at the fourth is wiping out so many workers.
Yeah, 5 more workers going down. That's a good surround on all of the units right there in the third base. Shin, once these Archons morph in, will retreat, but that's a lot of damage getting done already. Still, Stats, he's been on top of his pro production. It's only 65 workers to 70, so just a small worker lead here for Shin. The question is, can Stats actually stabilize? Because, you know, in theory, if he can get an army supply up maybe 50 or 60 and have a good worker split, or army split, excuse me, he should be able to hold on, but Shin is just doing such a great job of basically pulling him apart. Small Roach counterattacks like this in the main base, and then counterattacking at the fourth, going into the third, trying to snipe Templars where I can. It's really tough for Stats to get his bearings at this stage, but you know, he's not doing a bad job. 4 Templars still on the map are gathering a ton of energy. The upgrades are heavily in favor of Protoss right now. Those Lings are going to do very little with +2 armor coming in a moment. +3 ground weapons in as well, but I mean, these Roaches still getting damage done in the main.
I mean, the number of workers that are getting killed is pretty crazy. Stats is remaking it as fast as he can, but because there are these small openings that he can get into, you know, Stats is a little bit too big picture defending the third and the fourth, and when he left that natural opening there and the Lings got in, the damage just goes up an insane amount. Even though there's a big army here that can defend versus Shin's push, if these small forces get in and keep killing off workers, this big army isn't going to stay big forever.
Some really good Storms over down that fourth base. Shin now sets his eyes here on the natural expansion coming in. Stats going to try and chase down and take the good fight over here at the bottom. I like that move from him if he can hold here at the natural. And this bottleneck for the Roach is actually not that bad for Stats. He's still at 57 workers, so his economy behind this, it's still healthy. These upgrades are really paying dividends right now for Stats, but as the reinforcing Roaches come in, he's going to have to find some way to reinforce, or maybe not, man. Those upgrades are carrying so much weight. +3 attack and +2 armor about to finish here for the Protoss. I mean, these Stalkers are packing such a punch against these Roaches. With the upgraded advantage Stats has at this moment, keep in mind, Shin has no melee attack upgrades at all here for the Lings. The first one is only about halfway done, so their effective damage against the HP of these units is nearly halved, if not exactly halved. It's really just the Roaches, Ravagers, and eventually Banelings are going to be packing the punch here for Shin. And For Stats right now, he might be expecting Shin to be going for a big transition, but Shin's just been reinvesting all of his resources into Army. I'm interested in seeing if Stats actually decides to commit to this push.
Oh my god, a big set of Banes coming in here. Meanwhile, the push is going to come in from Stats. It's possible Stats totally misses this. The Banes are going to come in now, and he's just not looking, and there's going to be so many dead workers here. Literally every probe that expansion killed.
Oh, and the Banelings are even going into the third base right now. Stats is going for a counterattack here at the third, and oh, centrifugal hooks, it completes. Even more workers going down at the third base. Stats is effectively all in right now, 36 workers in total. Now, the Banelings have been taking a ton of damage over here on Shin's side of the map, but Roaches, Ravagers, and Hydras, this is a formidable force. There aren't any more Storms left. The War Prism goes down. Stats is blinking forward, but does he have enough?
I don't know if he's microing that well. A lot of these Immortals are taking direct hits from the Corrosive Biles. It looks like 2 more might connect as well.
But
the Stalkers are going to come in.
The upgrades are getting so much value. This +3 attack, these Stalkers are putting up such a good fight. Shin might have overextended with all those Banelings, man.
He does. That's going to be a GG.
Stats doesn't need those probes back
Dude,
at home.
That is crazy. Even with the Immortals being lost in the end, Stats just barely had enough. It's crazy because you see all those Banelings come out, it's like, well, that's it. You've lost economically. But it was so many Banelings, some of those could have been used to deal with Stalkers back at home.
And also